So here we have a coordinate plane where the x-axis is highlighted in blue and the y-axis is highlighted in green. So before we start figuring out the coordinate pairs for letters A through H, we need to first figure out what do all those spaces between each line represent. So if I was going to zoom into this coordinate pair between 0 and 1, I see that there are 1, 2, 3, and then including 1, that makes four spaces between 0 and 1. So think about our number line. That first number should be, if there are 4 lines between 0 and 1, then each one is into a fourth. So 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then we know that 1 whole is equal to 4/4. So now between 1 and 2, those numbers should be 1 and 1/4, 1 and 2/4, 1 and 3/4, and then 1 and 4/4 is the same thing as 1 plus 1, which is equal to 2. And then we're going to use that same thinking all along the x-axis. Now for the y-axis, between 0 and 1, we see 1, 2, 3, and then including 1, that's 4 lines. So that means it's also broken into fourths. So 0 be 0/4, and then 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and then we know that 1 whole is equal to 4/4. Then between the number 1 and 2, we have 1 and 1/4, 1 and 2/4, 1 and 3/4, and then the number 2. So now, as we look at the whole coordinate plane, we need to label each point based on where it is on this whole coordinate plane. So the first point A, it's right down here. I see that it is hitting that x-axis. It's actually on the x-axis still. It's on that blue line, but it is 1 unit to the right of 0 on that blue line. So my point A is actually going to be 1, 0. And that point A is not going above or below the x-axis, so it's actually the y-coordinate would be 0 because it's not going up. Okay? If we look at B, B is all the way right here, and it is also on that x-axis still. So B is not 5 units all the way to the right. 5 would be right here. It's actually before 5. So it's between 4 and 5, and it's 1, 2, 3 units to the right of 4. So that x-axis is actually 4 and 3/4. And then the y-coordinate would be 0 because it's not going above the x-axis, it's still on the x-axis. So we just find the coordinates for A and for B. Now for C, we see that C is right here, and C is actually on the y-axis this time. So C lines up with a 0 on the x-axis. So the x-coordinate would be 0, and the y-coordinate is just going to be 2. I'm going to skip D and give you a chance to try D for yourself. And I'm going to go right to the letter E. E is right here. So when I look at E, E lines up with the 2 on the x-coordinate. So right here with the 2, I'm going to label it as 2. And with the y-coordinate, it lines up with the number 1. Take a few minutes to figure out the coordinates for all the other points. Don't forget to go back and solve for D. And then you're going to find for G, F, G, H, oh, and then there's I also. So make sure that you are solving for D, F, G, H, and I. Here are the answers. So the coordinate for D was 0, 4 1/4. The coordinate for F was 4, 2 3/4. The coordinate for G was 1, 1/4 and 3 1/2. The coordinate for J is 3, 2 3/4. And go ahead and drop a comment to let me know H and I. Good job, y'all. Keep working hard.